everybody. This is Nerd Caliber. We're here with Human Sushi Cosplay. We're going to talk to them about their amazing costumes. Tell us all about these great costumes you have.
Yeah, all right. So we are cosplaying from Fushigi Yugi, which translated to the mysterious play here in the good old US of A. And the costumes are, the story is based on a girl in modern Japan who falls through a book of Chinese legends and ends up in feudal China. And here we are in feudal China. So my character is Miyaka Yuki. I am a priestess of Suzaku. I am also 15, so that's apparently a lot of stress for a 15-year-old. And I'll let Abby talk about her a little bit.
So my character is Noriko, and he is one of the Suzaku 7, who are the male guardians of the priestess of Suzaku.
Got a harem.
And Toski, he's kind of like the mountain bandit, badass character that you need in one of these shows, and he shoots fire out of his fan.
He's also one of the Suzaku 7.
And we're the sameys.
And he's got a mullet, so that's great.
Yeah, I've got this rockin' ginger mullet, so because it's from the 90s, and that's what happened then.
Share us with us about the craftsmanship behind your costume.
A lot of fabric, lots and lots and lots of fabric. So the great thing about these costumes, at least for me, obviously each one is a little bit different. A lot of it was just based in robes, so we have a lot of familiarity with making robes. It was really just a matter of choosing interesting fabric that really spoke to the whole Chinese legend. So there's some brocade going on, obviously the rich reds, golds. I don't know where pink falls into Chinese legend, but it's a shoujo anime, so I mean clearly it has a place. And that was, for me, it was just a matter of sitting down with yards and yards and yards and yards and yards of fabric and making them big and flowy and girly. So
do you want to talk about your jewelry?
Yeah, the jewelry is actually nothing special, to be honest. This is actually probably the most important. So Sculpey, we've got some glass beads, some glass pearls, and then the top here, the crown, is actually affixed to the wig. It started its life as a embroidery hoop. So for cross stitchers, those hoops that you see, it started its life as one of those little wood embroidery hoops, got some gems on there, and then just a lot of gold and sparkly paint, which is something I'm becoming very good at. And then the wigs, we'll talk about the wigs at another time. We'll come back to those, but I'll let Abby talk about her process.
Okay, so I sew my costume and Sarah's costume. So like Jamie, my costume at least is just a lot of kind of robe type shapes, like a kimono top, a very big flowing skirt. All of the fabric is from the Casa collection from Joann's. Just in different colors and different types of fabric. So there's satin, this is chiffon, there's some crepe in my sleeves. For Sarah's outfit, I tried to make sure that she had some breathable materials, so her shirt is cotton, and then she's got some suiting material for her pants and her collar, and then the blue and the gray is more Casa satin, and some taffeta.
And then I did all the painting. These guys are awesome with sewing. I cannot sew to save my life, but I did all the painting here.
No painting on me.
No painting on Jamie this time. Painting here. I do like some of the wig styling, but these guys actually, they are making me look like such an amateur right now with their wigs. Yeah, this feels so bad. I didn't get to do as much, or wasn't able to do as much on these costumes with these guys. Like
that's why we work as a team.
Yeah.
So why did you choose to cosplay these characters? What are they?
I feel like it's the same reason we always choose characters. So
nostalgia.
It's a nostalgia factor. So we watched this series in junior high. It followed us through high school. We had a lot of love for the characters, a lot of love for the artwork and the series and the story, of course. And we just have this big old bucket list. So it's like, all right, let's possibly pick the hottest costumes we can do in July in Hartford, and let's go with those. But yeah, it's really just a nostalgia factor for us. Like we love picking the more obscure things. You also get that moment of joy when you see that person who's like, oh my gosh, I know your series, and we get very excited about those people who,
like middle school, I think.
Yeah.
Like
6th, 7th, 8th grade.
We were friends for a few years already, but like it was kind of one of our more bonding animes, you know.
Nothing says love like a bandit and a concubine and a 15-year-old priestess.
There's like how many characters? There's so many characters.
So many characters.
There's a lot of characters. Just kind of picked the ones that
spoke to us.
Yeah, that's how we usually do. So.
And I think that's how we pick series as well. We like to pick the series that we loved when we were younger, because we didn't cosplay when we were younger. So most of the series on our list, like to do, and the ones that we have done, done are from the 90s and will continue to be from the 90s.
And Crochet
And
Soul Eater, and
We've done a few more recent ones, but like we've always kind of done them right before they kind of blow up. So it's always been, not to sound like a super hipster, but
cosplay
like,
hipsters. It's all right. We're cosplay hipsters. You can say it. Be proud.
Yeah, whatever.
My PBR out of my
No,
robe
but
here.
it's fun. I mean, I don't know. It's just some of the older animes. Yeah, like when you do have that recognition, it kind of makes up for the lack of people who like jump on you with photos and stuff. So
The 5% that are excited about what you're doing, and the 95% who are like, oh, huh.
Now, you're in this masquerade happening
We
today.
are. We
Yes.
are in this masquerade. We're in
Tell us a little bit about the skit that you're preparing for tonight's show.
We would love to talk about our skit. How many of us have ever had online dating experience? So the premise.
this is a success story.
It is a success story.
It
So
does work
the premise of our skit, we're talking about. So Miyaka gets her happily ever after. She picks one of the 12 or 13 or 14 or 15 men that's interested in her, and we want to take care of our other men who either died in the line of battle or perhaps didn't get a girl battle. So we set up some online dating profiles, and hilarity ensues.
Shenanigans.
So yeah, shenanigans. It's gonna be a good time.
That's fun.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if like they do all the sewing, but like I do all the skit mixing. Like these guys come over and just record on my Mac and just garage band it, and it's fun. It's a good time.
Fun, it is a good time.
That's my I do something. I swear to
Yay.
God, I do something.
She does.
Plug.
Yeah, she does.
Also help us with our wigs, which we should also talk
Oh,
about.
talk about the wigs. Yeah, so the wigs. So we just started a partnership, a sponsorship with Epic Cosplay.
Cosplay.
Wow, that's embarrassing. Hi, Jenna. We just started a partnership with Epic Cosplay, and they've been helping us out with wigs, which has been really amazing. So these are our first full set of Epic Cosplay wigs. Anime Boston, we used one. We had a bit of a negative experience with another wig vendor, and Epic did an amazing job making sure that we had what we needed. So we are now working exclusively with them for wigs. The wigs are amazing. We
They're
love
so
them.
like thick. Like
Yeah.
her wig is like the thickest wig I've ever seen, and like they fit so well too.
Yeah.
Like I have like 4 bobby pins in that I don't really need. It's just like from past years of insecurities of not putting bobby pins in.
Yeah.
She can talk about her wig, and then I'll talk about her costume.
Okay. So Abby actually did most of this costume, but the wig, I just had like kind of a page boy wig and just started chopping at it, I guess. You know, just looked at the reference picture and just styled it. Pretty much just in the mirror, just going at it with scissors, and then, whoops. But for the back, I just threw it on Abby and just kind of trimmed up the back. This was like one of the easiest wigs we've done, so it's not really that big of a deal. It's pretty rock and mullet in the back, though, I have to say.
It is.
It's ridiculous. But then, yeah, Abby, you want to talk about?
Sure. So for Sarah's costume, I pretty much used a pattern to make the pants and the shirt, and then I used the same shirt pattern and just made it bigger to make her overrobe, and then attached a mandarin collar to it. And then the sash and the belt are just 2 big rectangles. And then she did the painting with fabric paint on here by hand. For my costume, my wig is officially the thickest long wig I have ever worked with. Like, this doesn't have any extensions in it. This is just the wig as it is. The only extensions I used were for my bun up here, which is 2 layers of craft foam with wire in the middle so that I could bend it, and then I just glued some extensions around it and attached it to the wig. And then the wig is braided and the bangs were trimmed by Sarah. My crown is craft foam with some jewels glued onto it and painted. My hair ornament is made of Fimo and beads and a flower glued onto it. I carved all of the tail feathers and the wing by hand. For my costume, I think the only pattern that I used was I used a kimono robe top just to get the right shape, and then a giant circle skirt for my skirt. Everything else was pretty much drafted by hand. And I mean, the skirt has an elasticized waist, and then I wrap this kind of padding around it, and then the over red skirt is attached with snap tape. Yeah, it's other than being really hot because none of the materials are breathable, it's a really comfortable costume. And once again, all of the painting, like all of the feathers and all of the flowers and everything were done by Sarah.
Oh, it's my turn, yay. All right, so I also would like to point out before we get started, this is the first time we are all wearing flat shoes, because I think the last time you saw us there were some 4-inch stilettos that didn't go well. So for Miyaka, similar to what Abby was saying about the pattern, I really only used one pattern, which was a basic kimono pattern that was completely edited and altered based on my needs. So this one has obviously been trimmed and rounded a little bit, and then underneath here we've got 3 layers, because when you're being sacrificed to a god you want to go out in style. We've got 3 layers here, so we have 1, 2, and then the top, of course, and then a lot of fabric to keep it all together. As far as the wig, which is actually probably my most proud moment on this costume, because it's the first time that Abby and I styled a wig, and
All by ourselves.
Yeah, by ourselves. Not that we don't love you, but hey, we're graduating. I looked at this wig, and the first thing I thought was, no way, we're going to see if we could buy any extensions and just make this happen. But the wig itself was a short, so almost like a bob. And then we bought a package of 30-inch wefts, and the base of this bun here is actually just styrofoam, which is great because it's really lightweight, really easy to put on. Don't have to worry about any extra pins or anything. The styrofoam ball is hollowed out, and then you take the wefts, and all you do is basically just wrap those wefts right around the base of the wig, and then just hot glue the whole thing right together, which is awesome. There's more hot glue in this hair than anything else right now. And then the crown, as I mentioned earlier, the crown is just a hoop, basically, for cross stitch or for any sort of stitching. Got a lot of glue on there. I'm sorry, not glue. A lot of puff paint to give it a little bit of a rounded edge. And then we've got gems. It's all painted gold. And then the front here, a little bit of craft foam, and then just jewels. I got really lucky at AC Moore. I found the exact jewels that I need, which never happens. It's usually 6 months after we do a costume. We're like, oh, where were these 6 months ago? I got really lucky this time. I found them at AC Moore. It was awesome. And then they're just stuck together with a little bit of copper tape, which is actually, I think it's used for electrical work. I'm not really sure. They talked about being able to solder it. I did not solder anything. I just wrapped it around and folded it over.
Good.
Yeah, and then the top, really hard to see, but there are some beads going around on the top because I don't already have enough stuff on my head. Had to get a couple beads in there just to even it out a little bit. But yeah, that's the costume. Really happy. I'm wearing flats. That's awesome. Yeah, made some earrings, made a necklace. It's just a lot of beading and really finding all those details and not overcomplicating it. I think a lot of cosplayers will overcomplicate things that really don't need to be that complicated. Got really lucky because a lot of the base jewelry just came right from a Claire's in the mall, and then just make the necessary edits as you see fit.
I think if you have kind of simpler shaped costumes like this, I think the way to, as Jay said, not overcomplicate them is to just use kind of richer fabrics. Like, it isn't necessarily seen in the picture that this is brocade, but to use the brocade just makes the costume look richer and kind of puts it on par with all of the jewelry that you see with it, as opposed to just using some gold fabric. And the same goes with Toski's sash. It doesn't necessarily have to be kind of iridescent in the light, but that's the fabric we chose, and it works.